Good morning, everyone. Irony is when one thing is expected, but the other thing is what happens. Or one thing is expected, but the other thing is what is said. Or in the case of dramatic irony, for those of you who do English B, the audience knows something is about to happen or has happened, but one character or more characters on the stage do not know of that information. They don't have those details, okay? So there are three types of irony. The three types are situational, where in terms of something happens, but the opposite is what happens. Verbal irony, where something is said, but the opposite was expected to be said. And dramatic irony is the third one. And it's important for you to understand irony, because irony is the underpinning, it's the foundation of understanding today's first literary device, which is sarcasm. Today's first literary device, sarcasm, requires your understanding of verbal irony. So as I just said in our review, verbal irony is when one thing is said, but the opposite of what was expected. So I expected someone on a hot day to say, oh my goodness, it's very hot. But the person instead says that it is very cold. Exactly. So that is verbal irony. So these are some examples. A teacher might say to a student who is struggling, wow, you're a natural at this. That's an example of verbal irony. Okay, so a person who's running late says, well, you know me, I'm always on time. That's verbal irony. A person who is ill, let's say you visit a family member in the hospital, the person just had surgery. They can barely keep their eyes open. They're now coming off of the anesthesia, that kind of thing. And they ask the person, how do you feel? And they say, oh, I feel fantastic. That is irony. Okay, so you have to understand irony first before you get to sarcasm. It's very easy to mix the two. Yeah, to get them confused, to think one is the other and that they're the same thing, but they are not the same thing. They are very close, but they are not the same thing. So final example of verbal irony would be for a person who is not good at math to say, I'm a math genius. Now, you need to understand that in order to understand the difference between verbal irony and sarcasm. What's the difference between verbal irony and sarcasm? Sarcasm goes a little bit further. What do you think might be your intention when you're being sarcastic in general? What is your intention? What are you trying to do? You're not being authentic. You know, you're not just saying the opposite just to be interesting. No, when you do it, there's a particular intention involved. And this is the difference between sarcasm and verbal irony. Sarcasm is a literary device in which we use irony to mock or to convey contempt or to criticize in a cheeky way. Anybody here know about Sheldon from Big Bang Theory? Let's check this one out.
Okay. How about this? You know how you're always trying to learn about sarcasm?
No.
No?
I was being sarcastic.
Oh, good for you. So all you have to do here is say you're sorry to Leonard, but say it sarcastically.
Of course. He will hear it as an attempt to mend fences, as opposed to the withering condemnation you and I will know it to be.
Yeah, that was my plan. All right, come on, let's go.
By the way, thank you for the delicious cocoa.
Oh, you're welcome.
Well, I'm getting good at this.
She really thought he was grateful for the delicious cocoa. But his intention was to tell her, I don't know what's this you put in this glass here, but this tastes like a cup of sadness. And he said to her, thanks. And she's like, oh. And then he hits her with the punchline. So that character is very good at sarcasm. But the thing about him being good at sarcasm is not just what he says, but more often than not, the fact of the matter is when we're being sarcastic, if you think about that sarcastic math teacher in your school, Rochelle, or you think about that old Spanish teacher you had, it's the facial expression is what goes with it, isn't it? It's the facial expression and the tone of voice that matches with what they say. You know what I mean, Rochelle? It's not just the words. It's the whole packaging of the thing. It's the dry look. It's the dry face. Because the sarcasm is not just in what you say, but it is also in how you say it. It's also marked by the tone of voice, the facial expression, indicating that the speaker is not being genuine. And if you watch Big Bang Theory enough, you will know that Sheldon is not being genuine half the time. Look at this lady's facial expression. She's not his friend. Can you tell? Look at it. Look at how she's clapping for him like if he's 5. So this is a sarcastic gesture. Look at this one. This fella here now. Yeah, please tell us more. You think he wants to know more? Look at his eyes. Look at this one. Great advice. Thanks. Does she look like she's really happy for the advice? Does she look like if she's even a little bit happy for the advice? No, she's like, yeah, thanks. That's really important advice. Yeah, big up you.